Would you like advice on finding your best possible readers? Even if you're at an early stage of your writing career, it's still valuable, even essential, to weave the idea of a future reader into your process and to find ways to share your journey, your writing with your audience. I'm speaking this week at a beloved annual event for writers. This is year 5 that they're running it. Find Your Readers, hosted by Danielle David Wallace, is an online summit for writers of all levels. It's running August 2nd to 5th. I'm going to be going live on August the 5th at 8 a.m. Mountain Time, which is 10 a.m. Eastern. This summit invites you to connect your craft and your marketing goals so that you can build a readership for your work now and keep growing into the future without wearing yourself out. And the best part is it's totally free and you can get a replay. I'm going to be talking live at that summit and giving a talk on the 30 ways you could promote your book. I'm going to be answering questions live and I can't wait to see you all. So check the show notes for details on how to join me. Make sure you don't miss this one. Welcome to Show Don't Tell Writing with me, Suzy Vidori, where I teach you the tried and true secrets to writing fiction, nonfiction that are going to wow your readers, broken down step by step. We're going to explore writing techniques. I'm going to show you a glimpse behind the scenes of successful writers' careers that you wouldn't have access to otherwise. And I'm also going to coach writers live on their pages so that you can learn and transform your own storytelling. Whether you're just starting out, you're drafting your first book, you're editing, or you're currently rewriting that book, or maybe even your 10th book, this show is going to help you unlock the writing skills that you didn't even know you needed, but you definitely do. I'm so looking forward to helping you get your amazing ideas from your mind onto your pages in an exciting way for both you and your readers so that you can achieve your wildest writing dreams. And you're going to also have some fun doing it. Let's dive in. Last week on the Show Don't Tell podcast, we did a page review with Katie Fitzgerald, and it was amazing. And I just love doing these. Check it out. We'll link to it in the show notes. But our conversation actually ran long and turned into a bonus episode for you where Katie and I talked about all kinds of things about piecing her novel together and technique. I just think that you're going to love, love, love listening to it. So again, I've got Katie on the podcast, and she has pursued art her entire life. Starting at the precocious age of 13, she finished her first novel, which remains unpublished in her 20s, which she calls the progenitor of the Ceridian series, but has been lost to the decay of digital media. She swears that there's still a printout somewhere in her garage. So the need for an income entailed a 20-year career in technical writing in Silicon Valley, a career in decorative and fine art, and finally back to her first love, now fiction writing, primarily fantasy. Her goal is to entertain you and hopefully leave you feeling happier than when you started the story. Katie lives in the Santa Cruz Mountains of California with her husband, 2 kids, and the world's happiest dog. I have a couple of quick fire questions for you if you're up for it.
Sure.
So I want to ask you, how long did it take you to write the first book that you wrote? The first full, the novella or the first book, or if you wrote another book before, how long?
The first book took 20 years.
Yeah. Where is that book now?
That's book 1 in the series.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
family happened in the middle of that. And I thought as a new mother, I can write when the baby sleeps. And then nobody tells you the baby might not ever sleep. I had babies who slept, and I'm ashamed to say I did write my first book on maternity leave with my 3rd child because they all napped at the same time. No, I don't about it. But I'm not saying that everybody can do that. And I'm not saying that that was everybody's experience. And I didn't you
finish
need to
it.
share that magic with other people.
I didn't finish it. I did go back to work, and it was about 4.5 years before that first book was published. But yeah, that was my plan. So thank you to my babies for sleeping. My oldest is 19 now.
So once I picked it back up, it took about a year to finish the first draft. I write fairly polished first drafts, and then second and third draft went pretty quick.
Awesome.
So I'd say maybe a year and a half.
Yeah, awesome. Which is pretty typical. 20 years, the nice thing about it is when I just asked you what that room looked like, it was right there. And that's because you've been holding this world in your head for 20 years. And so you could have written the book in a year or 6 months or 3 months. You wouldn't have been able to answer that question.
You wouldn't have been able to tell me that. Maybe on the opening scene, but for lots of things, I could tell the depth. You've been carrying that around. So even if you weren't actively working on it, your world is going to be richer because it sat in the back of your mind for 20 years while you raised your children. So it all happens for a reason. It all happens the way it's going to happen. Okay. What was the moment where I often ask it in a different way? I sometimes say, what was your first big break? So what was the moment where you knew this was really going to happen, that you were going to finish this book and get it out? And what was that moment like?
After I finished the book and it went through beta readers and all of that process, I gave myself a year to find an agent and go traditional publishing. As your listeners may have figured out from the discussion of kids, adult kids, I'm older. I'm going to be 60 this year. And so I gave myself a year because I don't have time to fart around. I want it done. So after
most of us want it done regardless of what age.
Yes.
Yes, that is true. I just turned 50 this summer, so I feel it.
Yeah, but as soon as I hit that year without a lot of traction, I was okay, I'm going to go start researching being an indie author because people do that and are successful these days.
Absolutely, especially in fantasy. The neat thing about being an independent author today is that there's whole groups that are just waiting for your book. And if you can get into those groups, those reader groups, then you're golden, right? There's book talk on TikTok and things that you don't need to be there. You're like, oh, I want to do all of that stuff. I don't know if you're on TikTok or not. But there are groups that will pick it up, right? And so there's different ways to get into that. And if you can get noticed, it doesn't matter how you publish. In fact, independently, you have options. You have these options, whether you go independent or traditional, but there's KDP and there's other places where you can actually allow people to experience your books, especially when you have a series. So maybe you allow the prequel to be available for cheaper or for whatever, or in the subscription. Then it will lead people, like I was talking about at the beginning of the show, you've actually got 2 entry points. So you can keep playing with those entry points, the prequel and book 1, as you write the series and figure out where that traction is. Because once people read it, if they love it, they're going to keep going. Epic fantasy readers are an amazing crew. Thank you to all those listeners out there who read. And because they will keep reading, right? They want to be immersed in a series and they will read it quickly and just consume it. And they will talk about it to their friends. So so it's finding those pathways. So congratulations. It sounds like you got it, right? And the whole querying bits, like a year to find an agent, I think that's reasonable. And I work with a lot of different writers in a year. I work on about 100 books. And what I find is I can tell writers if their book is ready for an agent. I can tell, and I can tell you when you're ready to go, when a book is ready. And whether you independently publish or traditionally publish, you just have to get your book as far as you can, right? You have to get your book to the level. At the end of the day, I can never predict which ones are going to sell and which ones aren't, because it's trends and it's interest and it's all the things, right? You can't force that. So your book might be perfect and amazing and have a readership, and yet nobody in the traditional space is looking for that particular thing at a particular moment. So it's just, so they kind of work in parallel, those 2 streams. So I'm glad that you didn't wait too long and that you're willing to get it out there. It's awesome. 20 years, right? Congratulations. Last quick question. What's your best advice for writers who are listening today who want to independently publish? What's the best thing that you want to tell them that you wish that you know when you started this journey?
There are groups out there who have already figured out a lot of the steps to become an independent published author and how to market. And so, could I have researched each individual piece of information on my own? Sure. And I did for a while until I found a group that clicked with me. And so now I'm working with them and they teach me how to do a release, how to do front matter, how to do backwater, how to do keywords, all that lovely stuff that we hate.
Yeah, all that scary stuff that sounds scary until you're like, oh, it's just that. Now, and the thing is, whether you publish independently or however you publish, we're so focused on the writing for 20 years, right? And then all of a sudden, there's all these other pieces to becoming an author, whether independently, especially because you have to learn all of those things. But even traditionally published, you still have to pay attention to all of those things and help them. They don't do everything for you, right? Like even the keywords, I know lots of traditionally published authors who pay attention to that and help their publishers with it. Be like, hey, this is missing and I'm seeing this trend or whatever, right? Like how do people find your books is such a big part of it. Okay, great advice. We don't have to go it alone. That's what we're all about at the podcast. Is yeah, you don't have to write alone. You don't have to publish alone. There are smart people out there. And at the end of the day, you really have started this journey because you want to have a conversation with the world and you want people to read it. Whether we tell ourselves that's scary or whether we probably all secretly hope that people are going to find our books and love them. So yeah, so reach out. Don't be afraid to ask all of those questions. Great advice.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So one thing I struggle with in terms of show, don't tell is
Yeah.
the idea has been around for a long time and you've obviously done a lot of work in the area. I'm now afraid to name emotions rather than showing how it's affecting my characters in their body or in their responses. And sometimes you just need to get on with it. So how to balance that?
Yeah, I get it. And I come across this a lot. And when I've worked with a writer for a long time, I start telling them you're showing too much. It can happen. You can show too much. And then they've like graduated into some other realm. Now, most writers don't have that problem that they show too much and they think that they are showing too much too early. But we can see even from this page, we're not showing too much yet. So when you get there, it's a good problem to have. You're right. Naming emotions is one of the it's the first thing that we learn about show, don't tell. It's not the only thing. I talk about 7 different areas, but naming emotions is one of them. And I highly recommend the Emotion Thesaurus. If you haven't already got it, it's a big help.
That's how I found you.
That's right. Through Writers Helping Writers. Exactly. So Angela and Buckeye have done a ton of work on this one aspect of show, don't tell. And I think eventually it starts to feel like when you're looking it up and you're like, I've already used that. It's really just the jumping off point. So feel free to go in different directions. It's the inspiration, right? The most valuable thing that I find from that resource, which I do use, is that sometimes I will write angry and then I look it up and I realize none of the 10 pages that they got on angry feel anything like it. And I realized I was being lazy, right? I was being lazy. I thought it was angry and I named it. And when I actually dug in, it was surprised or something else, right? It wasn't angry. And so pay attention to those things. Can you name emotions? You can. The difference in your reader's brain is amazing. So how it actually works is if we are giving people information or telling them stuff, then it's like they have their hands out and the readers can't see me, but you can see me. And they have their hands out and we're giving them a fact. So we say, okay, she was angry. Wait, she was angry. And then your brain goes, check, she was angry, but it doesn't really do anything with it. It just holds it as a fact. If I say her full body shook when tears rolled down her face and her fists were clenched, I don't know, maybe that's over the top, depends where it is in the book. If we have all of those reactions, then my brain, number one, 2 things happen in my brain, my reader's brain. The first thing is they feel that, right? It happens for them. They feel anger, which is kind of a really awesome thing. The second thing that happens is their brain has to line up and translate all of those things. So rather than just taking that fact, give a fact, give a fact, give a fact, it's like reading a textbook, right? People get tired. Eventually they drop all the facts because they don't make sense, right? So what it does instead is it actually will light up their brains and they take that in. Clenched fists, shaking, tears, anger. They have to take that extra step. It keeps them awake while they read. It keeps them immersed and engaged. So that's why we do it. So sometimes when we're like, oh, I feel like I'm overshowing and I don't know why I'm doing it because there's this stupid rule that says I can't name emotions, right? I'm afraid to do it. So if you understand how it works in your reader's brain, when you're deciding where to do it and where not to do it, decide how important it is that your reader is engaged, right? So in moments where it doesn't matter, right, you might name a quick emotion. Exactly what you just said, get on with it. But in the climax of your book, draw us down that path, man. Bring me into their body. Make me feel the anger. Because if you don't, you're missing it. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. And there are times when clenched fists, shaking, and tears might not be enough because I might think that's fear or something else. Then I might have to say Franz fist or hands clenched in anger. I might name it and show it at the same time. So pay attention to that because sometimes we're doing that. So you could give us a little show and also name it because otherwise it doesn't make sense. So you might combine them. But just saying angry it's not going to invoke what you think it will in the reader. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So don't be afraid. You can, but just know that it's not a lazy version, but it's a part. There are definitely parts that you could tell in a book. And especially when you just want to get on with it, like you said. And if you're feeling like you just get on with it, maybe you cut it. If it's something that you're trying to glaze over or get past, maybe
I'm
it's
more
just
thinking
longer.
about action scenes where you don't want it dragging down what's happening.
Yeah. So think about what we worked on this page and see if you can do it without a ton, right? Like even saying her body shook instead of she was angry is the same amount of words, right? And it doesn't bog us down. Yeah. Or her body shook in anger is stronger than she was angry. So give us something would be my advice.
Compact.
Yeah. Compact it. Exactly. And I like to think about it as being judicial with your words or making sure that every single thing that you include, number one, points the reader in the same direction and has a purpose, but number two, just does double, triple, quadruple the work so that it's those connections and all of that sort of cohesion that makes a book pop and feel amazing to a reader.
Great advice. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. This has been super fun. I wish you all the luck. Please, please, please keep us informed. Come back on the podcast in September when your book is out and we'll talk about that then.
So if people are interested in the prequel, they can download it for free on my website. And that's katiefitzgeraldauthor.com.
So we'll put all the links in the show notes. Thanks for coming on the show today, Katie.
Fabulous. Thanks so much, Suzy.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Show Don't Tell Writing with me, Suzy Vidori. Help me continue to bring you the straight goods for that book you're writing or planning to write. Please consider subscribing to this podcast and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you're listening. Also visit suzyvidori.com/newsletter to hop on my weekly inspired writing newsletter list, where you'll stay inspired and be the first to know about upcoming training, events, and writing courses that happen in my community. If you're feeling brave, check the show notes and send us a page of your writing that isn't quite where you want it to be yet for our Show Don't Tell page review episodes. Remember, that book and your writing is going to open doors that you haven't even thought of yet, and I can't wait to help you make it the absolute best. If you're feeling called to write that book, keep going, and I'm going to be right here cheering you on. See you again next week.